Welcome to the Superconscious Success Podcast, where Jen and her Superconscious Success family co-hosts bring you valuable content each and every week on topics relating to manifestation, spirituality, and most of all, using your superconscious to manifest success in all areas of your life. Now on to today's episode.
Hey there, Superconscious Success fan. Welcome to another episode of our co-hosted segment, Raising a Conscious Human, with my amazing friend and parenting expert, Eileen Dillon. Our intention with this segment is to help all those parents out there struggling to create an authentic connection with their children and confused by the non-stop barrage of opinions as to what makes a good parent and what doesn't. My name is Jennifer Matthews and I'm a spiritual coach, naturopath, personal trainer, and mum of two amazing teens. I've always said that my kids are my greatest teachers, and as conscious parents, we begin to recognize that we have as much to learn from our children as they do from us. Eileen spent many years working as a marriage and family counselor and psychotherapist, and so has helped many people with almost every type of problem. And she's now an international best-selling author, speaker, and expert in conscious parenting and emotional and anger mastery. We are so happy to have you with us today. I'm going to pass you on over to Eileen, who's going to introduce our amazing guest.
Thank you, Jennifer. So today we're bringing you another amazing guest. She's a spiritual life coach for conscious moms, and her mission is to empower moms to embody blissfully abundant lives through superconscious parenting. Dorothy Knight is also known as the 5D mom, and she's not only an author and an embodiment coach, but she's a certified parent educator. Dorothy is passionate about empowering her clients towards self-mastery, illuminating the way to fulfilling their soul's mission with passion, purpose, and play. She's the mother of two adorable children and has a very supportive husband. And now we're going to chat with Dorothy for a while to find out what it's truly like being a 5D mom. Welcome, Dorothy.
Welcome, Dorothy.
Thanks for having me. I'm so excited.
Yeah, thanks so much for being on again. We did record previously and it was in the middle of Mercury retrograde and it did not work out. So I'm so happy to have you back here again where we can go through your story and give some little nuggets that people are going to be able to take away with them to help them to become more of a conscious parent. So before we get started, tell us your story and how you came to be where you are today.
Yeah, so first of all, people ask me, what's a 5D mom? What does that D stand for? So the D is for dimension.
Mm-hmm.
And essentially, they ask me, where is this dimension? Take me with you. And I'm like, well, that's the part of the work that we do to get there from 3D to 5D. So that's a lot of the lingo that we're hearing nowadays with like multidimensionality, the 3D versus the 5D. And like, we're not going anywhere. We're still all in the 3D on this planet. It's a very physical reality that we're experiencing. So it's not like we suddenly vibrate out of it.
Mm-hmm.
You're somewhere else. What happens is 5D is an energetic bandwidth. So basically, as us human beings, we're all these vessels and we're always emitting our energy signature. And when we do our healing work, we essentially clear the space, and energy can be dense, energy can be very high vibrational. That's why everyone's wanting to raise their vibration as we speak in the spiritual world. And when we raise our vibrations, we raise our consciousness. That brings us into a different level of reality. So that's the 5D. And the 5D is a template per se where everything is about unity. It's about unconditional love. And I know it sounds very la woo froofy, but it really is a way of being. And it is our natural state of being and connection to our truth and our soul essence. So for me to get to that place was not a walk in the park, and it's not designed to be for any of us, because we're all here to remember who we are, and we're all essentially walking ourselves home. So I had to walk myself home for the last plus decade. And for me, it started out like everybody else, right? It was just following a certain narrative, doing as we're told, being very bound by the social constructs of social conditioning, of my own unresolved traumas, of my inner child wounding. And it made life very, it's like that hamster wheel, very much on autopilot. So I personally was always seeking validation outside of myself. Like many people, we're always looking for that answer, and we're always looking for that answer outside of ourselves. So for me, the universe and I have been doing this beautiful conscious dance for a very long time. I would almost say many, many lifetimes. And this is the lifetime where the universe decided she's better remember. We need her to wake up and to come back home to herself so that she can help others do the same. So for me, I did the whole corporate thing for like 10 plus years in a career that was deeply unfulfilling, as successful as I was climbing that ladder, getting the title, the accolades, the bonuses, and living that very almost superficial life. And yet at the end of each day, there was always that void. And that void I would continue filling up with everything outside of myself. That's the whole paradigm of it. So for me, the universe decided to really get my attention. And in 2008, I had a motorcycle accident. So for me, this was literally the universe knocking sense into my head because I had a concussion. And the funny thing, or not so funny thing, is I had several motor vehicle accidents prior to this one. But this is the one that was my spiritual awakening, as we say. So when I woke up in the ER of the hospital, I knew. I'm like, message received, message received. I will do it right this time. I got it. Going over a cliff in Mexico on an ATV. No, that wasn't enough. Like a motorcycle accident. Boom, here we go. So this is the part where the healing journey really became initiated for me. And the physical pain, interestingly enough, even though I fractured my pelvis, my ankle, I had a concussion. I mean, I still remember everything. I'm here to tell the story, and that's for divine purpose as well. But it was the emotional, mental, and spiritual pain that really surfaced. So anything physical was like the tip of the iceberg. And anything physical, it's just we're in a physical body. But who we are, our soul essence, is so much bigger than just this meat on bones, right? And I started getting my first understanding of what that really means. So having a concussion, I hit my head pretty hard. Like my crown chakra energy center was very open. It was so open, it was overwhelming. So I almost had this glimpse of, oh, this is what we really are. This is how I see everybody and how we're supposed to see each other, and the colors and the sounds and my extra senses, everything just came online at once. So I almost had to ask the universe to dial it down a little bit because people thought I was cuckoo. There was no Instagram yet. There was no community. I felt very ostracized, and I almost like went back into my shell, and I stayed there for a few more years because it was very frightening coming out of that spiritual closet when I was so identified by my title, by who I was dating, by what I was doing with my life, and not who I really was being. There's so much doing, very little being. So my spiritual journey really had me ask those very important questions of, who am I? Why am I here? And I didn't know the answer. And it terrified me. But these beautiful alignments and synchronicities started unraveling and unfolding on my path, where I was forced to slow down and learn how to be. Because I was very A-type, very athletic, and I couldn't push my body the way I always used to. So I started practicing yoga. So yoga was my vehicle, let's say, to really understand the body, mind, spirit connection and how to start moving energy intentionally and with breath. So I've been practicing yoga ever since, and it's just such a profound practice of simplicity. It's such complexity in every single moment and pose, moment to moment. So for me, yoga led me to learning about Reiki and energy. I became a Reiki master. I opened a practice. I had to close that practice before the pandemic kicked in, but that was a blessing in disguise because I was now like moving everything to the online space. I opened up this beautiful container where I was before just serving people in a geographic location physically. Now
Right,
it's like,
right.
look at us talking from so far away, and like the world got very, very small. But for me, it connected me to so many beautiful souls, like soul family and clients, and my business just
Yeah.
really started growing. So this past year, the past 2 years rather, were a roller coaster, very
Yeah.
amazing. Trying to do all those things while the pandemic was happening, having the children at home, having my husband work from home. It's just been a very great balancing act.
Yeah.
And anything as a mom, and that's why I'm here to talk to the moms, is I've proven to myself that it can be done,
Yeah.
and it can be
Yeah,
done
yeah.
well without burning out, without being resentful to your husband, without being that grumpy mom that your kids don't want to be around. It's really about doing things in a soulfully aligned way with intention. And when you know who you are, why you're here, and what you're here to offer, it's soul service.
And
It's soul service.
Can we segue from there into you telling us a little bit more of what your approach to conscious parenting is? And before you get into that, I just want to say your story that you just told us illustrates that if we are presented with lessons and we don't learn them, they get more and more and more intense and more painful until we finally get knocked over the head. Thank you for that.
And
and
and the interesting thing is that that you were talking about how, as Eileen said, you were talking about how you had the multiple accidents, and like she said, we all learn lessons. The universe has a really great way of tapping us on the head, and the situation tends to get worse and worse if we don't start listening to it. And when we live in that fifth dimension that you were talking about, it's absolutely incredible to be in that place. But we do live in this 3D world. And so our job, as you said, is to figure out who we are in truth. And so we may say, who are we and what is our purpose? And it may seem like a really simple question, but it's really not, because it takes a lot of soul searching to come to the true identification of what you were put here for. And I know after going through Dark Night of the Soul for an entire 12 months last year, that experience is what got me to where I am right now, as difficult as it is. And so I think that's great that you brought up all that in regards to 5D and why you call the 5D mum. And like Eileen said, we're really interested to hear how you integrate those 5D workings into your conscious parenting approach, because it's we know we have spoken to you before. I'm really excited for you to just segue into that whole concept.
So, like many energy practitioners or workers or spiritual coaches or coaches in general, or just even your hairdresser, okay? Like a lot of us work with others, and when we're in each other's space, we're picking up on everybody's stuff. And a lot of the time, we don't give ourselves that sacred space and place to connect with what's us and who that is and what that feels like. So that's where it started for me. I love to be alone. I have no issues about it. So for me, it's learning how to be me in a collective kind of energy. And the collective is very all over the place right now, right? Because everybody's in their thoughts. Everybody is trying to figure out what is happening with this world. What is my place in it? And then we're all running this sort of survival programming. So I wanted to really break free of that. And I am the first in my family, I would say, that is the chain breaker, the black sheep, the one that's out there and different, right? And I was so embarrassed and really hid myself in those aspects of myself for the longest time. And then I'm like, that's a huge disservice to humanity when we do that. So I learned, number one, to be with myself and be comfortable being uncomfortable and being comfortable being with myself. And then what starts to come, that's the stuff that needs to be worked through. And how many people don't even create that space to just know thyself? So for me, I structure things in a very streamlined, simplified way, because I love the simplicity and the elegance and simplicity, because we as humans love to overcomplicate everything. And life is here to be fun. It's not just work, 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 work. It's to be and to play and to embody and experience and express our soul essence. So who is that soul? Who was I here to express? Who am I here to keep expressing and embodying? So I needed to find out my alignment. What is alignment to me? What makes me happy? What are my pillars? What are my non-negotiables? How do I show up for myself? How do I show up for others? Because how I show up for myself is going to dictate how I show up for everybody else, including my children, my husband, my community, everybody. So I spent a great deal of time just figuring that out. So once I figured that out, I was like, okay, this is unmistakably, undeniably Dorothy. This is me. I know who I am. I know my gifts. I know what I need to work on and work through. And I never looked at my weaknesses as a weakness. I looked at them as beautiful teachers and opportunities to dive even deeper. Because why would I have that belief that something is a weakness where it's just something that I haven't developed fully? Or maybe I suppressed it because of some childhood trigger where I was told not to speak up for myself. Right?
Yep.
We sometimes focus so much on our flaws in such a negative scope when they are just so rich in opportunity to really do some divine alchemy and to bring to light where we can shine even brighter. So that was the next phase for me, is like how to stay in that alignment.
That's the hardest part.
And stay in your alignment, because life happens, especially as a mother, as a partner, wife, whatever it is. You're going to be tested. You're going to be triggered. And these super conscious children right now, they are here to trigger you and they're here to mirror back to you what still needs to be healed and resolved and reconciled. It's amazing how cyclical and how we're all each other's mirrors and teachers. It's perfect. It's just perfect divine design. So for me, I didn't even know if I wanted to have children because I was so fixated on the career thing. And children seemed like quite a hindrance or a setback for me. So I was like, I'll have them eventually. But my last corporate job was, again, the perfect seed was planted because I worked as a communications officer for the school board here in Canada. And I was immersed in schools with children. And I just suddenly cultivated such a connection with children, specifically like elementary schools. And I suddenly, like, my sacral chakra, my womb was like, time to start a family. And it was just like this beautiful innate knowing where there was no doubt, there was no questioning. And I just felt wholeheartedly body, mind, and soul ready. So I was married a month prior to that before we conceived my daughter. And it's just been such an amazing journey to become a mother and be a mother, because motherhood cracks us open. It cracks us open in the most amazing ways. And for me, to this day, my kids are continuously just reflecting back to me. We're like learning and growing together. So I think the whole paradigm of what parent and child has shifted tremendously. And I feel for us parents too, because it's a very challenging time and confusing time to raise a child right now. It's so challenging. And we're that first generation where, like, the chain breakers, we're like, well, I don't really want to spank my child just because my parents did it, their parents did it. We're asking those questions, like, why do I need to do it that way? Maybe there's a better way to do it, but how do I have that conversation? So for me, that's how I've really just stepped into this, not even conscious parenting, but super conscious parenting path. So for me, it's this moment where I learned from children specifically that they really understand the 5D. The 5D is living in the now. There is no other time but the right now. They're not dwelling in the past. They're not anxious about the future. If they're anxious about the future, it's because you're projecting the future onto them.
Yeah.
They're in this moment. They're in this, and there's this constant reminder of be here, be now. Be here, mommy, be now. Be here with me, play with me, be now, please.
Yeah.
So
But
it really brings that essence into everything that I do, not just as a mom with them, but with my clients, with my partner, with my family, with my friends, with my community. And life becomes so abundantly rich when we're in this moment, because all of our presence, all of our power really is in this moment. Otherwise, if we're dwelling in the past or anticipating the future, we are now siphoning off our energy. We're
Yeah.
fragmenting it to other places and spaces of time and reality.
Dorothy, I wanna have you tie something together for me. The way I look at the job of conscious parent is that you essentially have a soul who comes to you, participates with you, and we have the job of both getting that child to function in our world and to maintain the spiritual self and their sense of self. I mean, we all come here with that sense of self that you or I had to go looking for because we lost it. And I'd like you to talk a little bit more about that. How do you conceptualize or manage doing those two things as a parent of bringing your child into the world and at the same time maintaining their spiritual nature or developing their spiritual nature or bringing it out, however you want to look at it?
Yeah, so I like how you said that. I definitely feel that we choose our parents, and my children specifically chose me, and whoever, we always choose our family, absolutely. And it's really about, it's a dance. It's a dance where we still are offering that guidance, nurturing, and structure, which they very much need, because it's very easy to get lost in this world right now. There's so many opportunities for kids to go down wrong paths and stuff too. So we really need to be involved in their lives in a very conscious way. But at the same time, it's not micromanaging and helicopter parenting our children. So we need to give them, like, we're not keeping them on a tether or a leash or anything. We got to give them the space to explore and also expand and express, because these children have so much to expand and so much to express. They're incredibly opinionated. They know who they are. They are defined, like their energy centers, their solar plexus, everything is so defined. If it's undefined, it's often because they are picking up on the collective and the narrative that we are projecting. So our shortcomings. So this is a great example of like the soccer mom, the dance mom. So to do this as a very conscious parent, super consciously, is to know thyself, like know your bullshit story. Know your story, right? Because if you don't know your story, you're going to repeat that story for the next generation and the next generation and the next generation. So we have a lot to learn from our own inner child wounding. We have a lot to learn from the dynamics of our parenting, and that means our mother and father's lineage. This is the stuff I do with my clients. We heal these timelines. And really do your work first. Do you first. It's the classic example of the airplane mask falling down. Take care of yourself and save yourself first. You are not here to save the world. You are here to save yourself.
But how do you do you first?
Do everything for everybody, but I don't do anything for me. Focus, go really micro, focus on yourself first, and then you can expand that lens. So when you
do
do that,
how do you do that, Dorothy, in a moment to moment, on one of those days where everything's going wrong and the car breaks down and the kids have to be picked up and you've had an argument with your spouse? How do you focus on you?
I step away. I step away from the energy of the situation. And my family knows this very well. Like, this is what works for me. It may not work for everybody, but I practice the pause. And I highly encourage everyone to practice the pause. It only takes a moment because it's a pause, right? Otherwise, every moment is just a huge run-on sentence. You need those punctuations. Breath, breathe. I take a breath. I'm like, oh, this is heavy. This is a lot. This is intense. Okay, my loves, mommy needs a timeout sometimes.
I have the timeouts.
Very good.
Need a timeout. Excuse me. I'm going to go into the other room. I'm going to go for a walk. It depends on my environment, my circumstances, and the time. If it's all happening in front of me and I can't do that, then in that moment, I literally, like in my bubble, in my energy field, I seal it off and I just go within, go into my heart space, not in my head. Don't be irrational. Get into your heart space where the truth resides. And then I go, is this true? Is this mine? And what am I going to do about it? Every moment is that moment. This is where all the powers, we're just talking about this. In this moment, I get to decide to override the narrative. That's where my power is. Am I going to be reactive and react in a subconscious, unconscious
or
way
respond?
Or am I being responsive? It's exactly that.
Hey there, I really hope that you're enjoying this episode, and I ask that you subscribe so that you don't miss out on any upcoming episodes that I publish. Let me interrupt the show just for a moment to let you know about something amazing that I have to offer you. I have just decided to make available to you my brand new Superconscious Success Inner Circle absolutely free. Within this inner circle, you will find exclusive content from each of my co-hosts, plus myself, and discounts on upcoming products and services that are available within the Superconscious Success Academy and the Universal Consciousness workshops. Within this inner circle, you're going to find not only meditation and self-hypnosis tracks, but you're going to find content on spirituality, manifestation, healing, conscious parenting, business creation, intuition, success, and a whole host more. Just by being a loyal supporter of Superconscious Success. Now, head across to superconscioussuccess.com right now. Lock in your free membership, because as the membership expands, that is going to be turned into a paid membership. But if you go ahead and you sign up for that today, then you can lock in the free membership price forever. So don't delay, because I can't guarantee how long it's going to be at this price. Okay, so now let's head on back over to our guest interview. And so as a conscious parent, we know that boundaries are so incredibly important, because it's, especially when we're talking about the time that we need to put into ourselves, about us, as you said, working on ourselves first, putting ourselves first. How do we do that when we have kids and they're at you all the time? And how do we set boundaries so that we are putting ourselves first without seeming like we're selfish or, you know, taking that time for ourselves? What would you recommend with that?
So I feel that women are very good, specifically women, at setting intentions. And then we drop the ball.
Yeah.
And then we get frustrated, and then we get bitter, and then we get resentful because we don't follow through. So while there is a whole component of sacred feminine energy, it's a very soft, yielding, nurturing, surrendering essence. And we need it. A lot of women are lacking in that. We're always in this go, action. I'm a warrior. I got to save everybody. I remember we said that. We're saving everybody but ourselves all the time. And yes, we need that element of action too, which is that very yang masculine energy. And we have both aspects, both qualities. They reside in us, and it's bringing them into better coherence, balance.
Yeah.
So there's a time to be action oriented, and there's a time to be yielding and surrender. So I find that that's a very important part, especially in the work that I do with clients, is really retrieving those aspects. And often that requires reconciling those aspects. And I'll tell you right now, like if we were to draw a line down the middle of your body, like where your spine is, all your energy centers, your rainbow bridge between heaven and earth, we are that bridge. Left side, for those of you listening, if you have any tension, pain, discomfort, illness, accidents on your left side, that is everything with the past. That is everything with your mother's lineage and your feminine aspects. Right side is all about anxiety, future. Oh my gosh, am I going to do it? Can I do it? Am I going to do it? I don't know. My father's side, do I feel supported by society? Like, where did I not feel supported in my life? What am I worried about? Am I confident enough? Do I have the willpower to go for what I want? So we kind of just weave in between, where it's like, yes, I'm supported. yes, I can do it this way. As a female, yes, I can do it. Like, it's just divine alchemy at its best. So yes, you need boundaries, absolutely. And that's why I said earlier, I have non-negotiable pillars.
Yeah.
Me time, family time, business time, and then whatever else is my like open spiritual time, meditation time, whatever it is. You need those non-negotiables. Think of them as the base of a pyramid. Pyramids have been here for a while. That structure's pretty solid for a
Yeah.
reason, and sacred geometry, right? And it's going to support the pinnacle point, which is you, your highest self. It has space to come in because this is withstanding. It's
Yeah.
not moving, right? Your roots have to go really deep so that you can expand your branches to the sky and reach your limitless potential. So boundaries are a must. You have to have those non-negotiables in place. For me, yes, it requires some organization sometimes. It requires some discipline. But then again, how are you showing up for yourself? What is your value to yourself?
Yeah.
So maybe it's getting up an hour earlier before your kids to have your
So
coffee, quiet, and maybe write a nice blog post that you're really happy about. So for me, I've learned to become an early bird, and
Yeah.
it works for me, and I love it. I love it. I get so much done. And it's so funny sometimes because, and I love all women. I think all women are beautiful, divine, sacred vessels, goddesses. We are all mothers in our own way because we are that energy.
Yeah.
And we don't just birth children, we birth businesses, we birth projects, communities, whatever we set our heart's desires to, we can totally manifest it. But it's funny because some women, like, they'll be like, how do you do all of what you do with children? I don't have children and I don't do half of what you do. And I'm like, well, that's the thing. When you're lit up, when you are connected with
Yeah.
the divine essence, that spark is that fire. And that fire is stoked by your passion because that's what keeps you going. On those days where you don't feel like going, when you don't want to keep going, when you want to quit, when you want to give up, when you want to lash out on your children, we keep ourselves in check.
Yeah.
Because we do things in a very intentional and conscious way. So every moment you get really good at doing this. It's practice, just like riding a bicycle. You're witnessing the reality always unfolding, and you're choosing how you want to respond. Is it in alignment with who I am, with what I want, with what I'm going for, or not? If it's not, swipe left. Keep going.
and what if
It's like they say, the path to heaven is very narrow, right? And
Yeah.
if you can make it as wide and complicated as you want, you can have, I don't know, scenic routes, but it's up to you. This is a beautiful planet. It's called Earth School. We're here to play. We're here to experience. There's really no wrong way about it. You can't fuck it up. Sorry. You are here to do it. And if you do, guess what? The universe will give you the same lesson again in the same and in a different body or in the same
Exactly.
experience.
When you come back next time, my mum often jokes and she goes, you know what? I just keep coming back over and over again because I keep making the exact same mistakes. And I said, yeah, that's exactly what's going to happen.
But what if Dorothy, what if we, I'm a mother that I have a 12-year-old or a 14-year-old, and I didn't do this kind of parenting that you're talking about, but it appeals to me and I'd like to introduce it. Is it too late?
You're never too old and it's never too late. Absolutely
Thank
not.
you.
The moment you decide and you put your focus, your energy, and your intention into it, you will manifest it. That's just the energetics of things. So again, it's what moment are you in? What stage in your life are you in? So I would still focus on yourself first as a mother, as whatever capacity you're serving other people too, right? So you really know where you're at in your life. And sometimes my clients, this is where they're at, is they've done the child rearing, we'll call it, where the kids are really small and it's all consuming with your time and energy. And then the kids have a little bit of autonomy. They go to school and suddenly the mom retreats and goes, oh my God, I've been in the fourth trimester for all this time. Yes, there is a fourth trimester. And sometimes they have this realization and I had this moment too, after the kids went to preschool. I'm like, who am I? Well, I
Yeah.
lost a lot of myself along the way. And it's that moment too where we're like, well, hey, what do I want? Has it
Yeah.
changed? And my connection with my body. Of course, having children is going to change your body. Come back into the body.
Yeah.
Come back into your desires, maybe your ambitions. That's what motherhood did for me. It was that opportunity to figure out my ikigai. So
Mhm.
not going back to corporate, I was a stay-at-home mom. I'm still a stay-at-home mom. And now I'm running a business as a stay-at-home mom, working from home. And it's amazing
Yeah.
because I had the time and the space now to figure out what I really loved and what I really wanted to do with my life and how I could create
Yeah,
abundance.
Yeah.
So if you
it's
have a
really
12-year-old and
wonderful.
a 14-year-old, you can absolutely do that because you'll nourish yourself. You'll fill your cup up first, and then how you show up for your children is very different. And teens and tweens, they need us more than ever as well. And
Mm.
all our kids really, really want is to see us happy.
Mm.
They just want to see mommy happy. And when mommy's happy, that tells them the world is safe, they
Yeah.
are loved, and they're enough. And just by that alone, we're already breaking the generational cycles and limiting beliefs and programming. So,
But especially the
you,
super conscious,
you.
especially the super conscious kids, not only do they want us happy, they want us whole. Can you
Mm.
talk
Yeah.
a little bit about how, to my mind, children are designed to push our buttons, because when they push our buttons, they're pointing out to us where we're not whole and where we need to grow. Can you talk a little bit about that as you work with it,
How they push our buttons?
and how you use that to grow? Yes.
Mm.
Yeah, so this again calls us to be very much anchored into the present moment, first of all, because by default, we're going to want to react in a very subconscious and unconscious way. So that's like step one is just whenever that trigger happens, what's happening for you? Where
Mhm.
are you feeling it in your body? Because it's probably bringing up some kind of cellular memory or like suppressed trauma, unresolved trauma. So notice where you're feeling it in your body.
Yeah.
What beliefs start percolating right away. That's the narrative, that's the script that's going to take over right away. So just be with it, because sometimes people just
Uh-huh.
suppress that and put it back under the rug and into the closet. Nope, don't want to deal with that. But
Right.
why? But why? That's your invitation, that's your
Mhm.
initiation, that's your opportunity. Open the closet. Okay, so my shortcomings, my
My shadow side.
missed that goal in the soccer game, but it's really upsetting me because I didn't get to fulfill my dreams.
Yeah.
So let's go deeper. So why do you feel that way? Who told you that you can't fulfill your dreams? Where did you feel like you failed in life? Who told you that you failed in life? So we all have this rich story that's full of wisdom, and that wisdom and pain, those pain points are our teachers, and they are that secret sauce to some divine alchemy, and we alchemize those wounds and that pain into wisdom.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
then that wisdom is liberating. It's empowering. It's what sets us free. And then that's how we show up as empowered parents, empowered mothers, where we are no longer confined and held by a story that's so outdated and was inherited sometimes to us. We override it. We are here to write a brand new story with the new generation, with our children.
Yeah.
So it's
And
very, it's a very almost like, what's the word? Like when you're, cowboys in the new territory, new horizon. It's an unknown, it's the Wild West in
Wild
parenting in
West,
a way.
yeah.
It's the
what
Wild
I,
West. Aren't we here to
yeah,
live and take
We
risks
are.
and live
right.
courageously and adventurously? And I love that. I don't want to define every moment with my child. I want to be in it and experience it as it's unfolding. So
Mm.
okay, this is the best thing about super conscious parenting that I'm going to
There
instill
we go.
upon you. All the books, throw them out.
Yeah.
Mine is coming up, the 5D mom, because it's going to set you straight in terms of, okay, books. What mom has time to read books like this, by the way? My book's going to be like, look, and it's going to just be like, this is it. you know what to do. Isn't that amazing? We know
Yeah.
what to do. When you had a baby, you're like, I don't know, I'm going to read every baby book there is. But at the end of the day, those books were like coasters because you had to call in on your
Experience
skill, your
it.
instincts. You
Yeah.
have those instincts, but we doubt them. We doubt ourselves so much as human beings, as mothers especially. There's a lot of societal pressures of being the perfect mom, or what perfect parenting looks like, what perfect stroller or breastfeeding or not breastfeeding. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's what works for you, what resonates for you and your child. And you got to feel
Yes.
that. You can't overthink it. You got to drop from head to heart and feel it all the way. And these children feel us all the way. You cannot lie to them. Don't pull the wool over their eyes. Just don't. They know. They feel.
Mm.
They know when they're being
Mhm.
lied to, right? And that's the worst thing ever, because then we lose that trust, and that creates distortions for them.
Yeah.
You
Like
know,
how they
along with
feel
that
validated.
is, Dorothy, is that you were talking about being an empowered parent. And I really want to emphasize this, because when you're an empowered parent, your children automatically do better. And
Yeah,
I think that's
absolutely.
really key.
Yes. Yes, they do. They do. And they see that you're in your place of power and sovereignty and confidence. And that's only going to be, now we're reflecting that to them. They're reflecting things to us, but we're reflecting that to them.
Yeah.
And when they see that we're in that position where we are a defined authority, we know what we want, we know our boundaries, and we know where we can step over those boundaries and give ourselves some wiggle room to experience something and to grow.
Yeah.
So the container, like in books, there's no like 5 steps to being the perfect mom. There's none of that. There's none of that. There might be 10 steps for you. There may be 2 steps for you, but you're here to
Yeah.
define that and decide that for yourself. So
I
the
love
best
that
way to
approach.
do that is through play. We're here to
Yeah.
play. Put the phones down. You can put all the self-help books down, really, and just be with your child. It's so amazing, right? It's like, wow, it's so simple. It's so simple. Sit on the
Yeah.
floor with them. Get down to their level, eye to eye, heart to heart, eye to eye. They have
Yeah.
so many gifts that they are here to express. I've worked with clients too, where they're like, children have like psychic abilities, clairvoyance, they can read energy, and it's amazing. And we're here to really create that conscious cradle, because
Yes.
they chose us as parents, right? So
Mm-hmm.
they know that we would do the soul work to heal, so that we can assure that they will have that platform to really catapult and do what
Yes.
they came to do
Yeah.
and to thrive. We're all here to thrive together. That's what this beautiful paradise, this earth, is all about. So how can we consciously do that and reflect that to each other, back and forth, moment to moment? That's what it's all about. And that comes all from the portal of our soul, the heart space.
The
And that
heart
is what
space.
Beautifully
Absolutely.
stated. Thank you.
Wow, that was so much amazing content. We totally respect your time, and we really appreciate you being here with us today. And if you could just let our listeners know, Dorothy, where they can get in touch with you, and let us know about your book. When's that due to be launched?
I'm hoping 2023.
Fantastic. We look forward to it once that's out and about. So let our listeners know where they can get in touch with you.
Yeah, so there's a lot of free content. I have a lot of workshops, events, and courses. And of course, there's coaching sessions, client sessions. So there's a lot of action, a lot of great content on my Instagram alone. My handle is at 5D Mom, super easy to remember. And if you're interested in learning more about what the 5D Mom template looks like, what family the template looks like for 5D parenting and a family dynamic, that's all there too. And that's on my website, 5dmom.com. 5dmom.com. You can learn about restoring yourself and bringing intimacy into your life, into your partnership, into your family life, into your life, period. So 5dmom.com. And yeah, that's where you'll find all the good stuff, really.
Great. Thank you so much for all that you've offered today, Dorothy. been great to visit with you again.
Yes, it is,
Wow.
and it's all run nice and smoothly for us. So thank you, Dorothy, and you enjoy the rest of your day, okay?
You too.
Right.
Bright and beautiful blessings for everyone. Mwah. Thank you
too.
so much.
Mwah.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye
you
to
so
you.
much for being here. Okay, bye-bye.
My joy and pleasure. Ciao for now.
Bye.